Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mike, and today we're talking about a question that many Americans living here in the Philippines have probably asked themselves lately. With inflation hitting countries all over the world over the last several years, prices have gone up almost everywhere. Food costs more, rent costs more, utilities cost more, and transportation costs more. And at the same time, something else has been happening. The US dollar has generally remained very strong against the Philippine peso compared to what many long-term expats remember from years ago. So my question is this: has the stronger exchange rate actually offset the higher cost of inflation here in the Philippines? In other words, are foreigners really losing purchasing power, or are they still coming out ahead? The answer is a little bit more complicated than you might think. We're going to get right into this topic, but first, if you haven't already done so, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also, remember to click or tap that bell notification. Okay, we're going to get right into this video. Okay, so let's start by looking at the exchange rate itself. Many foreigners who moved to the Philippines 10, 15, or 20 years ago remember periods when the exchange rate was significantly lower than it has been in recent years. Back then, every dollar converted into fewer pesos. Today, Americans exchanging dollars generally receive substantially more pesos than they would have during many previous periods. The stronger exchange rate acts almost like a built-in discount for anyone whose income originates in US dollars. If you're receiving Social Security, a pension, investment income, rental income, or remote work income paid in dollars, each paycheck converts into more pesos than it would have during weaker dollar periods. That extra purchasing power matters, but inflation has also been very real. Anyone who has lived in the Philippines for several years has noticed prices increasing. Groceries cost more than they used to. Electricity bills have risen. Restaurant meals are more expensive. Building materials, household goods, and imported products have seen noticeable price increases. Even services that were once considered extremely inexpensive have become more costly. So naturally, many foreigners feel as though their money isn't stretching quite as far as it once did. However, when you compare the two forces side by side, the stronger dollar and local inflation, the stronger exchange rate has, for the most part, taken the pinch out of inflation for most Americans. Because for many Americans, the increase in pesos received from exchanging dollars has helped absorb a significant amount of inflation that they have experienced. So let's look at a simple example as to why Americans are coming out ahead with the strong US dollar. Suppose a retiree receives a fixed monthly income from Social Security. If the exchange rate improves, that retiree receives more pesos every month without receiving any actual increase in their benefit. Now imagine local prices rise by 10 or 15% over a period of time. If the retiree's monthly exchange provides a similar increase in peso purchasing power, much of that inflation may effectively be canceled out. But let's check out some real numbers in the last year. 1 year ago today, $1 bought 55.91 pesos. Today's exchange rate is $1 equaling 61.8 pesos. That's a 10.5% increase. Let's compare that to inflation. Well, inflation spiked quite a bit earlier this year because of the conflict in the Middle East. But overall, in the last year, the Philippines has seen about a 4% increase in prices. Of course, for those Americans who chose not to stay in the Philippines and return to the USA, there's inflation in that country too. So overall, when you look at the big picture, the exchange rate is more than offsetting inflation. This is one reason why American retirees still report living comfortably in the Philippines despite rising prices. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody is benefiting equally. Some foreigners feel inflation much more than others. Why? Because lifestyle matters a lot. If you're living a simple lifestyle similar to many local residents, your costs may still remain relatively affordable. But if you're trying to recreate an American lifestyle in the Philippines, inflation may hit you much harder. Imported foods, imported alcohol, imported electronics, imported vehicles, and luxury housing often experience larger price increases than basic local products. Someone buying imported steaks every week, driving a late model SUV, and living in an upscale condominium may feel inflation far more than someone enjoying local markets, local restaurants, and a modest apartment. The Philippines still rewards flexibility. Those who adapt often stretch their budgets much further. Those who insist on importing their lifestyle frequently pay a premium. Housing presents another interesting example. In some areas, rents have risen significantly, particularly in popular expat destinations in major cities. Condominiums in places like Metro Manila, Cebu, and certain tourist destinations can cost considerably more than they did several years ago. However, foreigners who own their own homes, rent outside of prime tourist districts, or live in provincial locations often experience much smaller increases. Again, the impact varies dramatically depending on individual circumstances. Another factor that often gets overlooked is inflation back home. Many foreigners compare today's Philippine prices to Philippine prices from 5 or 10 years ago. But that's only half the picture. Prices in the United States have also increased substantially. Housing, healthcare, groceries, insurance, and dining out have become far more expensive in many parts of America. So while an American may have noticed that the expenses have risen in the Philippines, the cost increases are often still much lower than what they would have faced if they were living in the United States. That's an important comparison. The question isn't whether the Philippines is more expensive than it was 10 years ago. The real question is whether the Philippines still provides a meaningful financial advantage compared to living back home. For many retirees, that answer is yes. In fact, some retirees find that even after inflation, their overall standard of living in the Philippines remains higher than what they could comfortably afford in the United States living on the same income. They may have household help. They may dine out more frequently. They may enjoy a larger living space. They may travel more often throughout Southeast Asia. Those lifestyle advantages still exist for many people despite inflation. Of course, nobody knows what the future exchange rates will do. Currency moves up and down. The dollar may not stay strong forever. At some point, exchange rates could shift in the opposite direction. If the peso strengthens significantly against the US dollar while inflation continues, foreigners could feel a much greater financial pressure. That's one reason smart retirees avoid budgeting too tightly. Having a financial cushion provides protection against currency fluctuations and unexpected expenses. So where does that leave us? Has the stronger exchange rate offset inflation for foreigners living in the Philippines? For many Americans, the answer appears to be yes, at least partially, and in some cases substantially. Inflation has certainly increased costs. Nobody can honestly deny that. But the stronger US dollar has also delivered additional purchasing power that has helped absorb much of those increases. The result is that many foreigners are still finding the Philippines to be one of the most affordable retirement destinations in the world. Not as cheap as it once was, not immune to inflation, but still offering a lifestyle that many retirees would struggle to match back home on the same budget. So what has your experience been? Have you noticed inflation eating away at your purchasing power here in the Philippines? Or has the stronger dollar helped balance things out? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and click or tap the notification bell so that you don't miss future videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. God bless and peace out.